even though you walk alone. Why court approval once the road is known? Let come who will, but if they all turn home, the goal still awaits you. Go on alone.
Follow your dream, follow me to the worlds unknown. Life's but a shadow, once our dreams have flown. What if in pride your dream is not our own? Your soul knows the answer. Go on alone. Give life your heart. Bless everything that's grown. Fear not the loving. All this world's your own. Make rich the soil. But once the seed is sown, seek freedom, don't linger. Go on alone. Walk like a man, even though you walk alone. Why court approval once the road is known? Let come who will, but if they all turn home, the goal still awaits you. Go on alone. Go on alone. Go on alone.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday service. We want to welcome everybody who's joined us for this weekend where we're celebrating Ananda's anniversary, and actually, more importantly, the anniversary of World Brotherhood colonies throughout the world. And we're very happy to come together at this time, and also welcome those who are joining us online. Our topic this week is a very beautiful one. We'll read from Rays of the One Light by Swami Kriyananda, and our topic is Abiding in God. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. Yogananda often emphasized, more often to his disciples than to the general public, but also to everyone generally, for it was a universal teaching, the importance of attunement. For divine understanding cannot be created. It must be perceived. To the disciples, Yogananda spoke of the importance of attunement with the Guru. To others, he urged the importance, at least, of attuning oneself to higher consciousness. How can an eagle rise without support from the sustaining air? Jesus Christ said in the Gospel of St. John, chapter 15, I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me ye can do nothing. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch, and is withered, and men gather them, and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. If ye abide in me, and my words abide in you, ye shall ask what ye will, and it shall be done unto you. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit, so shall ye be my disciples. How can we abide in him? Jesus says, if my words abide in you. By words he meant not only his spoken words, but his vibrations, his consciousness of which the words are only an expression. We must abide by the teachings, but we must also absorb those teachings into ourselves, that they become our own experience. For disciples of this path, the more in their hearts they live consciously in the presence of the Masters, the more they will find the divine presence living within them. And for all truth seekers, whether disciples or not, the more they live sustained inwardly by the awareness of God's presence, the higher they will find themselves soaring in wisdom and joy. For the Bhagavad Gita says in the 10th chapter, I am the source of everything. From me all creation emerges. Blessed with this realization, the wise, awe-stricken, adore me. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om, Om, Om.
Good morning, everyone. This is a very, very beautiful topic this morning, and in fact, the very essence of the spiritual path. Without this, we won't be able to get there. Attunement and abiding in God and having God abide in us, or especially the Guru. I'm going to read this morning from Songs of the Soul. Normally we read from Whispers from Eternity, but I wanted to read this because it's so pertinent to the topic. I'm going to read When I Am Only a Dream. This is a kind of a prayer letter that Master wrote as he was getting ready to leave this earth plane. And I'd like you to close your eyes and to feel that these words are being spoken by Master directly to you. It isn't just words on a page. It's his speaking to you. I come to tell you all of him and the way to encase him in your bosom, and of the discipline that brings his grace. Those of you who have asked me to guide you to my beloved's presence, I warn you through my silently talking mind, or speak to you through a gentle, significant glance, or whisper to you through my love, or loudly dissuade you when you stray away from him. But when I shall become only a memory, or a mental image, or a silently speaking voice, when no earthly call will ever reveal my whereabouts in unplumbed space, when no shallow entreaty or stern stentorian command will bring from me an answer, I will smile in your mind when you are right, and when you are wrong, I will weep through my eyes, dimly peering at you in the dark, and weep perchance through your eyes. And I will whisper to you through your consciousness, and I will reason with you through your reason, and I will love all through your love. When you are able no longer to talk with me, read my whispers from eternity. Eternally through it, I will talk to you. Unknown, I will walk by your side and guard you with invisible arms. And as soon as you know my beloved, and you hear his voice in silence, you will know me again, more tangibly than you ever knew me on this earth plane. And yet, When I am only a dream to you, I will come to remind you that you too are not but a dream of my heavenly beloved. And when you know you are a dream, as I know now, we will be forever awake in him. What beautiful, beautiful words those are. And very, very comforting. Because he's really saying that if we turn toward him, turn our thoughts and our heart toward him, he will be there. He will guide us through our reason. He will love us through our love. He will be there in response to the energy that we put out. Swami has said to us that, and it was reflected in the reading today, but I want to state it more strongly, that for those who were close to Master, he gave them very little in the way of teachings. He basically said, attunement is the whole of what you need. And for those of us who are serious on the spiritual path, then that is really the answer. Attunement with God through the Guru is all we need. Everything else will come from that. We could be totally ignorant. We could have not a single technique. We could have no satsang, no connection with others. But if we held on to that one thread of attunement with the Guru, everything else would come to us through that. Because that is the channel. Christ used such a beautiful image of abiding in me, that I am the vine and thou art the branch. The branch alone, separated from the vine, is dead. And as he says there, men come and clip it off and throw it into the fire and burn it up because it's useless. We, when we're cut off from God, this life is useless. If we try to separate ourselves from the life force, from the flow of grace that comes through us, through God and Guru, our life is dry. We produce no fruit that is worthwhile in this world. And eventually we're thrown into the bonfire. And if not right away, then we're there already. For as Christ said, let the dead bury their dead. So we may be stuck on the vine and not thrown in the bonfire quite yet, thinking we're alive, but we aren't. We're dead. And let the dead bury their dead. So attunement, realizing that everything that comes to us through God, comes to us through the Guru. Now, not everybody has a Guru in this life, and not everyone will want one. Swami, I loved his answer to a reporter who was interviewing him, and the reporter had a list of questions, and one of them was, do we need a Guru? And of course we were all sitting there expecting him to say, yes, of course. He said, no, you don't need a Guru. Why do you want somebody telling you what to do and giving you instructions? He said, you don't need a Guru. Of course, if you want to find God, then you need a Guru. And so it is for the world. It's a wonderful answer for the world. The world doesn't need a Guru. Most of the people in the world. Master said, the reason God doesn't come to most people is all they would do is argue with him. And so why would a Guru come to a person who doesn't want a Guru? All they do is argue with him. And so he doesn't come. But when we want to find God, then we need a Guru. And when we want to find God, the Guru comes to us. Because in fact, we aren't ever separate from the Guru. The Guru already abides within us. It isn't that we are somehow, through some ceremony or through effort or through anything that we're going to attract him to us. He's already there. What we're going to do is begin to realize that his presence are there. And for that, we need to open our hearts to him and ask for his blessings. But asking for his blessings aren't enough. There's a charming story of Debbie Mukherjee, who was a Bengali disciple, and he was quite a character. I met him in India in 1974, and he was a mouthful. It was about him that Master said, he's like a mouthful of hot molasses, too hot to swallow and too sticky to spit out. But one time Debbie Master asked him to do something. He said, "How can I do so without your blessings, Master?" And Master said, "My blessings are there already. God's blessings are there. It's your blessings that are missing." And so it is. When I was with Anandamoy Ma, she used the illustration of God's blessings coming to us like the sunlight. And the sunlight on a building is there all the time on the side. But if the window shades are drawn, the room is dark. Our part is not to create light. Our part is simply to open the shades that light can flow in. And where are the shades? The shades exist in our heart, primarily. It's really the heart's energy that we have to work with. Master said that the Patanjali's traditional definition of yoga is yogas chitta vritti nirod. Yoga is the neutralization. Often it's translated of the waves of consciousness, but Master said that isn't quite right. He said chitta represents the primordial feeling nature of consciousness. So yogas chitta vritti nirod is the neutralization of the waves of feeling. And how do we, or the little vortices of feeling. If you imagine a stream and there are lots of little eddies in that stream, how do you neutralize those eddies? Well, one way, and the way that many people take, is to go and try to calm each little eddy. And then so you have a desire for, I don't know, cars. So I've got to get rid of this desire for cars. And I would try to calm it and try to use affirmations and do all this kind of work to try to finally, you don't want that new Mercedes anymore. And you've succeeded. What about those thousands and thousands of other little eddies that are there, likes and dislikes, each one little eddy? How are we going to go around and get to each one of those? It's impossible. But there's another way of getting rid of the eddies. You bring a strong flow of energy through the center of that stream, and all those little eddies are drawn into that, and they disappear. That strong flow of energy is our love for the Guru and our openness to the Guru. Every time we do Sunday service, before that, we do something much more important, which is the purification ceremony. And in the purification ceremony, it is the simple essence of the spiritual path. The person comes up and says, "I seek purification through the grace of God." And the minister responds, "The Master says, open your heart to me, and I will enter and take charge of your life." That is the whole of the spiritual path. Opening our heart to God, and He will come and take charge of our life. Now, when He comes, He may tell us to do Kriya Yoga. He may tell us to serve. He may tell us to meditate. He may give us a lot of instruction. He may give us attitudes that we should follow. Of course He will do that. But He will not come until and unless we open our hearts to Him. That is the first and most important step on the spiritual path, and it's the last and final step on the spiritual path, to open our heart ever more completely to God. There's a beautiful image of Hanuman. You may have seen it in a poster. Hanuman was a wonderful, deep, deep disciple of Lord Rama in the story of Rama's kingdom, the Ramayana. And Hanuman was the king of the monkey clan and a great helper, magical helper of Hanuman. The monkey often represents the restless mind. And so the restless mind, aligned with the Guru, aligned with the Lord, becomes an enormously powerful tool, an enormously powerful symbol. But what was the essence of Hanuman? There's a beautiful poster, as I was starting to say, that shows Hanuman, and he's taken his hands and he's spread his chest open so you can see his heart. And in his heart, the image of his heart, is the image of Lord Rama. Beautiful, beautiful symbol for what the essence of the spiritual path is. If we can spread open our heart, and in that heart have the image of God, the image of Guru residing in the heart, we don't have to worry about anything else. Open your heart to me, and I will enter and take charge of your life. All the rest will follow from that. Close up that chest, close up your heart, nothing follows. No life force flows. The vine, the sap doesn't reach that branch that has closed down, and it withers and dies. Very, very simple. These teachings are so simple in their essence. It's just the practice of them that we have to work at. As Sri Yukteswar said, God is simple. Everything else is complex. And so God is simple. And these teachings are very simple. Love God. As we say every week in the Festival of Light, O Lord, with all my heart, with all my with all my mind, with all my soul, and with all my strength, I choose thy love. I choose thee alone. There again, the essence of the spiritual path is caught up in those simple words, but profound and simple. And so if we can get the essence right, then everything else will flow from that. I don't know why I shouldn't break a inspirational talk like this, but my mind just works in quirky ways. I was suddenly remembering some Jewish Zen koans that were sent a few months ago. So breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. If you don't get this one right, the rest doesn't matter. Or be here now. Eventually your luggage will catch up to you. But, okay, coming back. Now I've got to bring it back. See, I shouldn't do it, but I can't help myself. So the essence of the essence is opening up your heart to God, opening up your heart to the Guru. Now, how do we do that? The first and most important step is to want to do it. If we don't want to do it, we won't do it. God will not make us do it. God gives us free will. Our karma doesn't give us free will. Our past habits and actions, they don't give us free will. But God gives us free will. And so until and unless we can, of our own free will, say, I want to attune my will with your divine will, our will won't be free. It'll be guided by the iron hand of whim. And we will think that we are acting freely. Think of the mass of humanity that thinks that whatever they want and they have the freedom to go and try to get that they're free because of that. They're in fact creating their own bondage by that. So aligning your will with the will of Guru is the whole of the essence of the essence. That's what Swami said, that's what Master taught to his deep disciples. So how do we practice that? Everybody here in this room could give a number of techniques. I'll give a few. I suppose I could give 108 if we had time this morning, but I'll give a few. One is, and the most important, is to think of God and think of God and Guru. Think of Guru. I'm going to use Master, and for those of you who are not disciples of Master, then do this for whatever image or whatever representation of God has come to you. Because the Guru is not the personality. Anandamayi Ma said she was not a person. She was compassion that had taken human form. Master is not a person. He said his essential qualities were wisdom, joy, and love. Wisdom, joy, and love has taken human form. And that's who Master is. He isn't an image. He isn't a body. He isn't a personality. And the more we relate to him only as that, the more he recedes. So we try to relate more to his essence. But the key is to keep remembering that. See, the big problem is not, it's not the trials we go through. It's not the faults that we have. It's our indifference. Our indifference and our forgetfulness. That's the challenge. And so how do we out of a forgetful mind remember? It's not that easy, because the mind is like the monkey. Arjuna, Master, when he was in the role of Arjuna in the Gita and Mahabharata, when he rode in the chariot with Krishna, his staff, his flag, was the monkey. And that meant that he had tamed the monkey mind. He had tamed the restless mind. He had tamed his forgetfulness. He had overcome that. But that's what we're dealing with, is the forgetful mind is trying to remember not to be forgetful. And so in order to do that, there are little tricks that we can use. One, and the most important, is meditation. That's why Master tells us to meditate regularly and deeply. And the depth of meditation is more important than the time of meditation. Always, always end your meditation trying to affirm and actually feel your attunement with God and Guru. I was watching this week a video of a student of Durga Mata, who was Master's second most advanced woman disciple after Jnanamata. And she was reminiscing about her time with Durga. And Durga Mata was a kind of a fierce person in a certain way. She said she didn't have many people who came to her for counseling because she was very blunt. Kind of as Dhyana put it, or no, someone else put it, what did you do, go to the Sri Yukteswar School of Charm? And I think Durga had done that, it sounded like. But she gave some very, very important and beautiful advice. She said, don't worry if you don't have visions, or you don't see God, or you don't hear the sound of Om or any of that. The most important of all is the feeling that you have. And so if you finish a meditation and leave that meditation and you feel peaceful, that peace is the presence of God. Peace is one of the aspects of God. And if you feel peaceful after meditation, then you are carrying with you the presence of God in that. And so the feeling nature, again, yogas chittva vritti nirod, this primordial feeling nature is the most important. Another one that I really enjoyed, it stuck in my mind, was she said, you're not responsible for the first thought that comes into your mind, but you are responsible for the ones that follow that. Isn't that interesting? I don't know whether it's literally true. I suppose your karma draws that first thought in. But you have the ability to control the ramifications of that thought coming in. And so that's what we have to take part of. So coming back to the question and the problem of forgetfulness. So with the forgetful mind, how do we begin to remember? Well, as I say, the most important is meditation. Because in the midst of meditation, the mind becomes calm and focused on God, if we're meditating correctly, or if we're practicing Kriya or one of the other techniques, the life force becomes withdrawn and under the control of our will. And in that life force controlled state, we can perceive the presence of God more clearly than at other times. When the life force is out, spread out, functioning through the senses, that's what causes forgetfulness. So the withdrawal of life force will automatically bring about the remembrance of God. So always begin and end your day with meditation. Master said, don't go to sleep until you have convinced your mind that you are a child of God or an extension of God. And don't start your day without the same process of convincing yourself. Then, after meditation, try to hold on to that state for as long as possible. This is very important practice, one that we don't give enough attention to, because by building that bridge of holding the calm inward state into activity, we begin to seed the day, the active day and the active mind. We begin to seed it with the habit pattern of being partially inward. And when we're partially inward throughout the daily life, it is much easier to remember God than remember Guru, than if we're completely out of our mind. So keep centered. Part of the path of Kriya Yoga is to stay centered. In India, the many swamis carry a danda or a staff, which reminds them to stay centered. Master sometimes walked with a cane. That was kind of a symbolic danda. He didn't need to be reminded to stay centered, but he needed to remind his disciples to stay centered. And so stay centered, and that bridge time after meditation, when it's easier to stay centered, that is very important to practice that. It's like a tennis player practicing his ground strokes. You think, oh, well, I've hit 1,000 of those, I don't need to hit another one. A good tennis player does it over and over and over and over again every day, because that keeps him sharp in his game. If our game is liberation, we stay sharp in our game by practicing these fundamental things. Another thing is always, when you're trying to make a decision, ask Master's advice on that decision. We never start a meeting without praying to God and Guru. You can do it outwardly or you can do it inwardly, but if you connect with Guru, he will advise you, he will guide. Open your heart to me, and I will enter and take charge of your life. So open your heart to him, not just Sunday morning for 2 minutes before Sunday service, but with every decision that you're going to make. Ask consciously, Master, is this right? Guide me in this. When you're moving throughout the day, try to keep a continual conversation going with him. If you think me near, I will be near, he told a disciple. So keep a conversation. I run a few times a week. When I run, I almost am always chanting, or I'm feeling that Master is kind of floating along beside me, and I keep a little conversation going. Oh, look, Master, isn't that a beautiful flower? Oh, it's a tiger lily. It's my favorite flower. Isn't it beautiful, Master? Keep that little dialogue going. Eat with him, talk with him, walk with him. Keep it going more and more. Another thing that you can do is when you see, use little reminder devices. Reminder devices are very important. When you see a picture or an image of Master, stop and actually make an inner connection. Don't just walk by. Don't just kind of glance and kind of absent-mindedly notice that it was Master, but actually stop and make a connection and an inner connection and open your heart to him. This beautiful image of Master has its reproduction, a condensation, a statue from India that is installed in the Hansa Mandir, and we've had these reproductions made in a smaller size. They're available through the Shrine of the Masters. Those of you who have a garden or a place, I would like to suggest that you get one and put it there, because a true murti, or a form of God, if it's just a statue, it's just a statue. But if you will make it in your heart to be the living presence of the Guru, then it will be that. And a photo will be that, a statue will be that, a reminder will be that. Now God is omnipresent all the time, but until we shine our light of consciousness on him, we don't perceive him. It's a little bit like, I don't know, you're in a room, a warehouse, and your consciousness is like a little pen light, and it's focused on whatever is around you. And we have no idea most of the time how vast this universe is, not just in physical size, in consciousness, and that God is permeating this whole universe and permeating us, because our consciousness is following this little beam of, little circle of light on the floor. That's all we see. Well, okay, given that, at least once in a while, shine that light on Guru. Shine that light on God. And the more we shine that light on God and then make connection with him, as we do that, a deep inward, real connection, not just kind of ceremonial nonsense, but a deep inner connection. Make that connection. Chanting and repetition of a mantra are other ways to keep the mind focused on God. The best mantra, I asked Swami one time what the best mantra was. Beautiful mantra he gave me, and through me giving all of you. Om Guru. Said that's all you need. Om Guru. Keep repeating Om Guru, Om Guru. But you can repeat it mindlessly, or you can repeat it with devotion. If you do with devotion and attention, it will have the power to transform our lives. So there are many. As I said, we could go on and have dozens of different techniques, but they all come down to this. Keep the presence of God in your heart and in your mind. And if you do that, he will come in and take charge of your life, and your life will be transformed. God bless you.